sunset of an era. To Sir Edwin Clark, from His Excellency the Senate President, you were able to come together with President Shagari in 1979, alongside Chief Dafinone, alongside Chief Olushola Saraki. Many of them have blessed memory, and you produced a Senate President in Dr. Joseph Wires for the South-South. 45 years later, I came to your house. I'm talking to him. He's listening. Only the eyes are closed. And I consulted you. You gave me advice. And you threw your full weight behind me. And to the glory of God, when you were in the Senate, you produced a Senate President. In your exit, you also produced a Senate President. So I must say to him that your labors were not in vain. So today, we do not merely mourn a loss of a colossus, but we are marking the passing of an era. We are gathered together with the family and elder statesmen of Niger Delta region to pay this solemn tribute to Sir Edwin de Clark, a lion in Nigeria's political forest, a sentinel of justice, and a patriarch of uncommon courage. Let history record that in our time, there walked amongst us a man who did not bow to the tides of fear or fashion. He stood firm when it was easier to bend. He spoke when silence could have shielded him. And he loved Nigeria, not for what Nigeria was, but for what she hoped Nigeria would become. In the life of every nation, you have men that will arise and they embody the conscience of that nation. Sir Edwin Clark was such a man. Born in the creeks of the Niger Delta, but his voice echoed in the corridors of power across the length and breadth of Nigeria. He was forged in the crucible of struggle, tempered by the fire of activism, but guided by the unrelenting belief that Nigeria must belong to all her children. Whether you are from the north, whether you are from the south, whether you are from the east, whether you are from the west, whether you are in the minority, or whether you are in the majority, Nigeria, every Nigerian should have a stake in his or her Nigerianness. He was not a man given to timid compromise. No. Sir Edwin Clark was a thunderous advocate for equity, a towering oak in the landscape of our national discourse. When others whispered, he roared. When others hesitated, he marched forward. He taught us that patriotism is not passive. It is not silence in the face of injustice, but it is a sacred obligation to speak, to challenge, and to build a better world. His public life stretched across generations. from the First Republic to this Fourth Republic. And with each administration, he learned his wisdom. Whether the wisdom was welcomed or not, Edwin Clark learned his wisdom to each and every administration and every generation. He was never a fair-weather elder or a fair-weather friend. He gave counsel in crisis, and he gave criticisms even in comfort. In a nation often caught between memory and promise, Sir Edwin Clark reminded us of both what we had overcome and what we still must overcome to build a better Nigeria. To the youths of this nation, let me say this to you. The greatness of Sir Edwin Clark was not that he held offices, but that he held conviction. He wielded no sword, but struck down ignorance with the power of truth. His greatest title was not that of minister or that of elder statesman, but that of what? Patriot. He was a great patriot for Nigeria. That was his greatest title, Patriot Edwin Clark. Let no one mistake the finality of this moment. We have not only come together today to signal the commencement of the burial of a man, but we are here to commence the burial of a monument. The monuments that inspired all generations. Monuments do not decay, but monuments remind us and continuously call us to higher duties. And so in this hour of national loss, let us not weep as those without hope. Let us rise with renewed dedication to the dreams that Edwin Clark carried. Let us remember that the light of a true patriot does not go out. That light passes like a torch into the hands of those still running the race and willing to remain patriotic. So to his family, the torch has been passed to you. We want to extend the gratitude of a grateful nation to the family of Pa Edwin Clark, that you produce a man who died with his conviction and who spoke the truth against injustice throughout his lifetime. To his region, we offer our solidarity as a Senate. And to Nigeria, we rededicate ourselves to the ideals that he championed: justice, unity, equity, and truth. Rest in peace, Sir Edwin Clark. You have run your course. You have kept the faith. You have spoken your truth. You are dying with your conviction. And now the soil of the land that you so dearly loved, Niger Delta, shall cradle you in its eternal embrace. May your memory be eternal, and may your legacy endure forever.
This unique opportunity to do what has not been done before, namely that under your leadership, you've given us a second time to appreciate a man who did his best, and his best was more than enough to keep Nigeria going. And it's like Your Excellency used to tap my phones, Mr. President, when you mentioned the special relationship between me and our departed father. When I became a governor, sir, given the circumstances under which I came in, I took a very difficult decision that was embarrassing to one of our statesmen in Edo State. Our departed father called me and said, Adams, that was a mistake. Notwithstanding who is where you now have the issues resolved in your favor, you do not take decisions in moments of anger. Only a man like Edwin Clark could deliver such a loaded, minimum words, maximum wisdom to someone who was not a member of his party. Edwin Clark spoke truth, not only to power. Edwin Clark spoke truth in power, whether at the federal or at the state level. And up to the last moment, Edwin Clark refused to proceed on old man's leave. He was active till the last day. Anything and every government policy, regardless of the political party that produced the government of the day, you have to ask yourself, how will Edwin Clark react to this particular decision? We, in the South, in particular, this is truly not in the general way we speak where people pass. We can't replace the voice of Edwin Clark. But what we can learn is that never should any one of us feel so comfortable in a system as to be unable to speak truth, even in power, and definitely out of power. Because Clark has taught us that the fact of being privileged to lead does not mean God has conferred on you all the wisdom, and that there is room for contestation and disagreement so that we can have an agreement that benefits from the input of all. When I saw my brothers and sisters who have come here to listen to us today, my message to the children is that you have a huge body. When they ask you who is your father, you say Edwin E.K. Clark is or was my father. And you should sustain the tradition. Speak truth to power. Never be tired. Bear the brunt of being misunderstood, but service your conscience. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. And I support the motion, whether it was a motion or opinion, very worthy suggestion by the leader of the Senate, that when we talk about national honors, E.K. Clark deserves more than CON, Commander of the Order of the Niger. If people like me have Commander of the Order of the Niger, E.K. Clark deserves much more than that. But beyond national honors, I want to see a major street in the Federal Capital Territory or highway or institution named after him, so that it will be said that once upon a time, a man was born where he was born. He lived through military and civil rule. He was never tired. At old age, he spoke for us. He stood by us. And today, he's no more. But what he did while alive has enough to immortalize his name. His gentle soul rest in peace, and may the good Lord grant the family the fortitude to bear this truly painful but irreplaceable and inevitable end of a man who gave his all to our great country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Amen. Rare, uncommon elder statesman who is passionate, fearless, energetic, and transparently honest. Mr. Senate President, I met this gentleman several years back when I was made the chairman of Niger Delta crisis in the House of Representatives. So I had an official visit to him. He had his own reservation as to whether or not somebody not from Niger Delta would be able to appreciate the terrible human degradation of Niger Delta. From there, I took him around what we've done in the house and what I did, my travels across the creeks of the Niger Delta, and he was so delighted that someone somewhere who is not from the Niger Delta should have that kind of sympathy and empathy to what is happening in Niger Delta. And I assured him that the National Assembly at that time, the House in particular, was actually Niger Delta bias. And in fact, when we were able to do the onshore-offshore dichotomy bill, and we passed it, and some of us galvanized almost the totality of the Northern Board on the passage of onshore-offshore dichotomy. During that evening, Edwin Clark called and was so delighted that Nigeria could just be one. And at that material time, we kept relationship. Sometimes I send him a text. But what you take out of this, the entire life of Edwin Clark on the unique the emancipation of the Niger Delta is truly the emancipation of every struggle in Nigeria. And therefore, wherever there is emancipation, the struggle is the emancipation of every other place. I know we are running short of time, but one thing that I will take away is that Edwin Clark is never an AGP. That means any government in power. He speaks truth to power. Just like you said, Mr. President, you look at that man at that age, he's a voice of voiceless. And when he speaks, every nick and cranny of this country listen. And that's why a character like that. And when he died, I was taken aback whether or not we are going to have somebody that has that capacity, that energy, that drive to be able to speak for Niger Delta, for the Ijaws, for Southern Nigeria, and for Nigerians at large. May the soul of Edwin Clark rest in peace.